Welcome to Breaking the Vow on Strong Island Radio. This is a show where we turn pain into power and find recovery after divorce, separation, and breakups. This is where we push the emotional hang-ups to the side and create a plan to reach our best possible potential. This is where the next chapter starts and how the healing begins. So let's welcome your hosts, Theresa D. and Benny, the life coach.
And welcome back to another edition of Breaking the Vow. I am Benny, the life coach, and with me, as always, the amazing queen of everything, Theresa D.
Thanks, Ben.
You are the queen of everything.
I
You
try.
told me that.
I try.
You told me. Okay. Therefore, it is.
Okay.
It is. So we have some interesting things going on today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
All right. So I would like you to introduce a very special guest. Can you do that for me?
You want me to introduce the guest?
I would. Well, actually, someone special's in the studio with us today, and I would like, if you wouldn't mind, Judge, to introduce yourself.
I'd be happy to. My name is Jeffrey Arlen Spinner. I am a retired judge. I served for 21 years. I served the people of Suffolk County, first as a district judge and then as an elected county court judge. About 9 years in family court by choice, and additional time in Supreme Court, handling just about anything and everything that comes in.
Wow, that is impressive.
So
an honor to have you here, Judge.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
thank you. So one of the obvious reasons we wanted you to come in is there is so much unknown out there. We love to tell people stay away from Google.
Yes.
Stay away from. Stop listening to your friends.
Yeah.
Stop listening to the
You
internet.
saw it on Instagram doesn't make it true.
Yeah. Well, if it's on Facebook, I heard it's true.
I heard it's true if it's on Facebook,
Well,
too.
that's kind of the newer iteration
Yeah.
of it. Used to be, if it's in the media, it's true,
Yes.
and I believe it, and that settles it.
Yes.
Now there's a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
No. Well, Twitter is
Yeah.
the editor of speech now.
Yeah.
So is Facebook, and I don't really know a lot of them. So with that being said, there is so many painful misconceptions of what your position is.
Right.
First off, you're a judge, correct?
That's correct. I'm retired, but
Right.
I am.
You're always a judge.
So what is a judge? Simple question.
Simple question, but it doesn't have a simple answer.
Right.
doesn't.
That's a loaded question.
That's a really loaded question.
Good at that.
I'm good at answers.
Go ahead.
I'm good at thinking on my feet.
Good.
I got my start in Connecticut, where everything in court was an argued matter. So I learned to think on my feet quickly. With that being said, a judge is a person, like you or I. Can be a man, can be a woman. There can be a woman. I'll be okay. There are both. They have to be trained, obviously.
Yes.
For the courts of record, which would be out here, the district court in New York City, the civil court, the family court, county court, Supreme Court, court of claims, etc., the judges have to be lawyers. In the town and village courts, there is no such requirement. And I believe that there are over 300 judges in the state of New York that are not lawyers, including some out as close by as Southampton.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
The reason why I asked you this question,
I just learned a lot.
without a doubt,
Did.
the reason why I asked you this question is because there's one thing that a judge is. And when you were out in the green room before, you had mentioned, well, actually,
I'll say it. The judge is a public servant. The judge is required to serve the public the same way as the court employees, the clerks, the court officers, the same way as a police officer is a public servant, a bus driver is a public servant, the motorman on the Long Island Railroad is a public servant.
Yes.
So we're all supposed to have that in common.
Right.
another thing that you have in common with everybody else in the world is you're a human being.
Yes.
That's correct. And as I like to say, my shirts go on one sleeve at a time like everybody else's.
Yes.
And great. Because unfortunately, we have these ideas and we put people in certain positions in our mind. And we allow those positions to be intimidating. Rather than appeal to the humanity of the source, we just, well, he's a judge. He's going to do this or he's going to do that. And that is so much unnecessary that's actually catabolic energy. That is just such a draining energy.
Well, maybe I can share some of my attitude.
Please.
That would be great because I have to tell you, I am a little intimidated.
Really?
Yeah, Judge, I am.
Okay. Well,
Just because, like Ben said, I hold you up here. This is where you are.
okay. Well, let me add a little bit to that first of all, by way of background.
Okay.
I do have a college degree, which is a prerequisite to a law degree. I do have a law degree. I practiced law for 10 years, representing mostly individuals,
Okay.
people like you and I, in various issues, whatever they were. What most people don't know about me is that I was trained as an auto mechanic in a past life, and
That's so cool.
I am
That
capable.
is so cool.
I'm
Again,
capable of
you're a
building
human being,
engines.
you mean?
I'm a human being. Last time
Wow.
and I bleed red too.
There you go. Good.
I have 3 adult daughters. I have a grandson.
God bless.
God bless.
Thank you. He's the greatest. I am very, very happily remarried to a very good friend, and she has 3 children from her first marriage who I do not refer to as my stepchildren because they
Good for you.
treat me
Yes.
as though I'm theirs.
So the great thing is, and again, we go back to those misconceptions or misperceptions of who people are.
Yeah.
You're human. Therefore, look, you were married previously, divorced, and remarried again. So that means life happens to you as well.
Right.
That's right. Life on life's terms, I
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah, well, so do I. And so to me, this is so
For
cool.
2 totally different reasons.
Right. So to me, why this is so cool is the only other time that I was in front of judges is I was in a suit with a handcuff behind my hand, but my wrist cuff
Yes,
on my
you
back
are.
more than once.
Okay, so you're imperfect like the rest of us.
I am gratefully imperfect, actually, because once I allowed myself the permission to just be myself, it was so much easier.
It's very cathartic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It took me a long time to get there. One of the, I've also done what we call housing rehabilitation. I don't know if you're familiar with an outfit that used to be called Christmas in April.
Oh,
They're
nice.
based right here in Massapequa.
Nice.
And I've worked with them. I've worked with others.
Christmas in April, huh? That sounds like a great cause. Tell me more
Yeah.
about that.
I haven't been involved with them for a long time, but when I lived in Babylon, they were very active. The gentleman who ran it lived right here in Massapequa. He had inroads in with the Home Depot and other places where
Great.
they would get donations of materials, and we would rehab people's homes for them where they couldn't.
So
they
wait
were-
a second. Wait a second.
we have a lot in common, Judge.
You guys do actually have a lot in common, which we're gonna pin you down outside after that. But that's so. Not only are you human,
Right.
you're a judge, sits behind a desk with
And a
gavel,
lawyer.
and a lawyer, but sits behind a desk with a gavel, and you're not this cruel, mean,
No.
vicious human being.
And he
like,
knows how to
off with
fix
your head,
cars.
and you can fix cars.
I can also do household wiring, plumbing, and electrical,
Wow.
and carpentry.
Oh, he's an all
Carpentry,
around.
I've never been good. That's a talent. Painting and spackling is a talent. I
You do
never had
that too.
one. But so then I think again we go to this idea that someone's sitting in a position of these unreal people. Now, I want to get into some things, but we're going to be going to break in a minute. The question I want you to think about while we're in break is like when you made that transition to a judge, there has to be times where you sat over cases that hurt you. Like just because to
Yeah,
know
'cause they affected
this
you.
has happened in life,
Right.
that someone went through this in life.
Right.
How painful was that? And how did you learn to separate professionally
That has
and
to
personally.
be that definitely has to be a talent.
Oh my God!
I that's a talent.
All right.
I haven't learned.
I'll be glad to share it with you.
Thank
So
you.
everyone refills their coffee, and we're gonna come back. So
We'll be back.
Let's pay some bills and hear the commercials.
Hey Ben, did you know 65% of people have curly hair, and the biggest problem that holds them back from embracing their curl is
Frizz.
yes.
Frizz.
Good job.
I pay attention.
Do. Curl Evolution in Babylon Village is solving that problem as Long Island's top curly salon.
No more frizz.
No more frizz.
Okay.
They specialize in cuts and colors just for curls. But what's different about this salon is that you don't just get a haircut, you have an entire experience.
I like that.
Yeah, a customized lesson of how to style your unique texture, as well as a deep treatment to hydrate curls and reduce frizz.
So I have watched people with curly hair literally destroy their hair because they wanted it to look better, and then it just looked worse.
Right.
So here's a silly question. Why not just go to the people that do it like professionally?
Curl Evolution.
I would go there.
You should.
I will.
233 East Main Street, Babylon Village, New York, 11702, 631-422-4200.
Nice. So, 631 Tire and Wheel at 666 West Hoffman Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York, 11757. That's 631tire.com at 631-412-5165. You ask for Tommy. You tell him Theresa D or Benny the Life Coach sent you. Trust me when I tell you, he will solve all of your tire needs.
Oh, Ben, didn't some guy call you?
He did. This is the guy for the boat, the ATV, and
Yes,
the Wave Runner and all
the
that
patio furniture. He's like selling everything, right?
stuff. He's looking to get out of Dodge. So he said, hey, he called me and I go, how you doing, buddy? He goes, I listened to what you said. I went to rap-america.com. I found out what to do. I got these wraps with reusable zippers, covers. I covered everything. The guy Tommy was like the nicest guy to deal with,
Of course he is.
and of course, who helped him? He mentioned your name, not mine, and he goes, I'm sure he likes you too. but
I
he
love that, Tommy.
He likes Theresa more than he likes you. Either way, he called 516-830-0040, asked for Tommy, and all of his needs were taken care of.
Hey, Ben, are we getting out of here on time today?
No.
It's
But
your
wait
fault.
a second, it is. I keep messing up on a lot of things, folks. I know you're listening at home, but I mess up. I make mistakes. And you know why? It's because I'm hungry.
Yes.
I'm hungry, so
No, you get hangry.
I do get hungry.
You do.
You get frustrated.
I do. You're right.
You've thrown things at me in the studio.
I have.
Once or twice, maybe 3 times or more. But I have a solution. I think if we eat a good lunch, so if we go to Giovanni's Pizza, by the way, did you bring your dad home the chicken
Farm, yes.
He loves
His
that.
favorite.
I think
Yes.
Gio knows that.
Yeah, Gio knows that.
It's
Makes
a
it
great.
special just for him.
So, guys, I'm letting you know right now. Giovanni's Pizza, 1009 Little East Neck Road, West Babylon, New York, 11704, 631-669-9507. We are open, says they. Give them a call. So I want to get personal for a second. Not that we don't get personal on the show anyway. There is a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation helping children and families with unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances in Long Island. So HopeFloatsLongIsland.org helped me when I was doing an event for children with pediatric cancer. And half the people that were supposed to help us backed out.
Yeah.
We were on this beach.
I get it.
We have all these people coming, and everyone's coming to help us, and the vendors that were supposed to be there didn't show up. Hope Floats Long Island not only touched my heart, but they made the event happen.
Yeah.
And no one else knew. I had a heart attack, but the show went on, and that
Yes,
was
it
like
did.
the greatest thing. So that's www.hopeFloatsLongIsland.org. hopefloatsli.org, and you can email Theresa at hopefloatsli.org.
And we're back.
We are back, and we had some questions before the
We
break.
did.
So, just so you know, I can't say we're Mr. Professional about this show. We love it.
We're
We love what we
not.
do.
Yeah.
So we run around and we have we go to break and then a million things pop up.
Yes, they do.
But I was grateful to remember the fact that I had a question. And I remember what the question was in my
Go,
old age.
Ben.
Listen, it doesn't happen often.
I
Okay?
know.
So let's. So now, some of the cases use. Listen, anonymity and confidentiality are very important to everyone here. I understand that, but I am sure that you saw cases that hurt you, like deep to your heart. Could you say anything about that?
To a limited extent. It was more than anything else when I was in family court. There were cases that, yes, I would separate ostensibly, but really they dug at me. They kept me up at night. One particular case that I remember had to do with two little girls who were abused by the parents, but nobody could prove which parent or who. And I'm talking about multiple broken bones, just as a start. And at the time, my children were fairly young, and I lost sleep. I don't think, after that case came in, I don't think I had a good night's sleep for about 6 weeks. Just worrying about the children and thinking, I couldn't accept the fact that somebody would do this to a child.
Yes.
Understand that raising my children, I never used physical discipline on them.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't emotionally abrasive to them either,
Right.
but we used things like revocation of privileges.
Yes.
Or my youngest one, when she was 3 years old, we put her in the corner for 3 minutes. And she didn't like it. It was a perfect punishment because she'd be screaming, "Just hit me and get it over with."
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So coming from that type of a background, it was distressing to me. I can think of another one where a man was brought in on a neglect charge because the way that he disciplined his children was he'd bring them into the kitchen, which had a tile floor. He'd take a box of uncooked rice, spread the rice on the tile, and make the children kneel on the uncooked rice for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
my
There's a special
God.
place for that guy. So
Seriously?
I lost sleep over things like this.
how could
and
you
it was
not?
not uncommon.
as a recovery coach, I have seen things that hurt me. I have had clients tell me the stories about the abuse, whether it be physical or sexual or just neglected. I've had clients that the first time they were introduced to the needle was from their parents. And you hear this and you're thinking, what kind of person
world
are you?
and what kind of
Yeah.
person?
And I always go back to that understanding that mental illness is mental illness. Culture and training is culture and training. That person was trained to be a certain way.
But
and
how do you explain being trained for that person to take their child and make them kneel on rice for 20 minutes? I can't
He
wrap
learned
my
it-
head around
He
that.
learned it in the military. But what you do in the military is not necessarily what you should be doing in the home.
No.
to a 5-year-old. Yeah.
Right.
So
To a child.
I have a friend, God bless you, Chris. I love you. I call him Chris G, and he is my bully brigade. Chris is a very large man. I'm getting choked up. He is just the most amazing person because he's very big and physically capable, but he has the biggest heart I've ever seen.
I was going to say he's like a big mush.
Yeah. Most of them are.
Well,
Big one. Davin is a mush. We had him on the
yes.
show.
So, well, similarly, Chris is a mush unless, say, you felt the need to hurt a child.
Right, exactly. Then they're not
Then that's when
mushy.
Chris comes. Yeah, Chris is not mushy at all. And
And that's where a lot of this, I'll call it my judicial temperament comes in. What honestly, when I first became a judge, everybody calls you either judge or your honor.
Right.
I understood I had the title judge. That's my title. Just like a physician, the title is doctor.
Right.
Right.
But it took me, honestly, it took me about 4 years before I felt comfortable with being addressed as Your Honor. And I
you
have this
earned that.
idea in my head that every judge is a judge, but not every judge is Your Honor.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yes.
I've had bad judges in my
But-
life.
Right.
I just so listen.
But what I'm sorry, what I
Go
was
ahead.
getting to was that part of my job as a judge, particularly when I was in family court, is you have to cover everybody. Everybody has rights.
Yes.
Everybody comes in innocent unless until they're proven guilty, and everybody has rights. I mean, I can think of one situation where there's a couple, it was a second marriage for both of them. The husband was considerably older than the wife. The wife had a teenage daughter, and the husband raped the teenage daughter. As soon as the mother found out about it, she went right to the police and had him locked up.
Good.
Okay.
And they came in before me on a child abuse case because now stepdad is charged with child abuse.
Right.
It's a parallel proceeding to his criminal case. And one of the things that I directed when I remanded him, meaning I did not, I put bail on him so he'd have to pay bail if he wanted to get out of the lockup. And this was based upon issues about statements he made that he might not come back to court. Because that's the purpose of bail is not to take a bad guy off the street.
Right.
It's to ensure that somebody returns to court. That's something a lot of people don't understand.
Yes.
Based upon this, I issued an order of protection and I remanded him to custody. But I also endorsed on the remand order that he was to be placed in protective custody.
Yes.
And some people would look at that and say, well, look what he did to this kid. Why are you placing him in protective custody? Well, first of all, the bottom line is it has not yet been proven. There have been cases where people have not engaged in the conduct that they're charged with.
You're right.
And there's a certain hierarchy in the correctional system of which rapists and child molesters are at the very, very, very bottom.
You're absolutely
and
right.
they would be subject to
Yes.
serious,
Yes.
serious physical harm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And whether you agree with it or not, they also have rights that have to be protected. And again, I'm sitting up there doing this, the father of 3 daughters.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Not easy.
No.
no, and you have to separate.
Right.
You know, I have a client. We're going to be going to break in a couple of minutes, but I have a client who is out of state, and he is sober now. I would love to say about 90 days, maybe 4 months. And I began working with my client. My job was to get him to stop drinking. So as a life coach or peer recovery advocate or anything of that, I don't treat or diagnose or judge. I get my clients from point A to point B. That's really it. I'm really simple.
You
really
are
what-
really simple, Ben.
Thank you. Really, what a coach is a resource. I go over your. I'm your resource. I'm gonna find out whatever. I'm a resource broker, we could say, and we're gonna come back to this. This is. It's interesting that you bring this up because when we come back, I want to talk to you about this. What someone I'm working with is going through, and I'm not asking. We're not gonna really look for recommendations, but I want to pose this to you so I'm educated when I have something similar. You know, it's unfortunately not everyone plays fairly.
Right.
And unfortunately, there are people that accuse of hellacious things just to look good in court, to
Yes.
be punitive, to
I
punish
agree.
someone. And in this case, listen, I'm a dad, and my relationship with my children is different because of my choices previously. I fessed up when I messed up, which is big on this show.
Yeah.
I say
Fess
that.
up when you mess up.
And I cleaned my side of the street. Doesn't mean that there aren't things wrong. The last thing I want to do is stain the mind or the thinking of my child
Right.
even more. And unfortunately, that's when people play low, like hit below the belt and they play
Yeah.
hardball like that and they play dirty
Yes.
poker. That's what happens. All right, so let's refill our coffees and we shall reconvene in 2 minutes.
Hey Ben, did you know 65% of people have curly hair, and the biggest problem that holds them back from embracing their curl is?
Frizz.
Yes!
Frizz.
Good job.
I pay attention.
You do. Curl Evolution in Babylon Village is solving that problem as Long Island's top curly salon.
No more frizz.
No more frizz.
Okay.
They specialize in cuts and colors just for curls. But what's different about this salon is that you don't just get a haircut, you have an entire experience.
I like that.
Yeah, a customized lesson of how to style your unique texture, as well as a deep treatment to hydrate curls and reduce frizz.
So I have watched people with curly hair literally destroy their hair because they wanted it to look better,
Yes.
and then it just looked worse.
Right.
So here's a silly question. Why not just go to the people that do it like professionally?
Curl Evolution.
I would go there.
You should.
I will.
233 East Main Street, Babylon Village, New York, 11702, 631-422-4200.
Nice. So, 631 Tire and Wheel at 666 West Hoffman Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York, 11757. That's 631tire.com at 631-412-5165. You ask for Tommy. You tell him Theresa D or Benny the Life Coach sent you. Trust me when I tell you, he will solve all of your tire needs.
Oh, Ben, didn't some guy call you?
He did. This is the guy for the boat, the ATV, and the
Yes.
wave runner and all
the
that
patio furniture. He's like selling everything, right?
stuff. He's looking to get out of Dodge. So he said, hey, he called me and I go, how you doing, buddy? He goes, I listened to what you said. I went to rap-america.com. I found out what to do. I got these wraps with reusable zippers, covers. I covered everything. The guy Tommy was like the nicest guy to deal with,
Of course he is.
and of course, who helped him? He mentioned your name, not mine, and he goes, I'm sure he likes you too. But
I
he
love that, Tommy.
He likes Theresa more than he likes you. Either way, he called 516-830-0040, asked for Tommy, and all of his needs were taken care of.
Hey, Ben, are we getting out of here on time today?
No.
It's
But
all your
wait
fault.
a second, it is. I keep messing up on a lot of things, folks. I know you're listening at home, but I mess up. I make mistakes. And you know why? It's because I'm hungry.
Yes.
I'm hungry, so
No, you get hangry.
I do get hangry.
You do.
You get frustrated.
I do. You're right.
You've thrown things at me in the studio.
I have.
Once or twice, maybe 3 times or more. But I have a solution. I think if we eat a good lunch, so if we go to Giovanni's Pizza, by the way, did you bring your dad home the chicken
Farm, yes.
He loves
His
that.
favorite.
I think
Yes.
Gio knows that.
Yeah, Gio knows that.
It's the
Makes
the
it
greatest.
special just for him.
So, guys, I'm letting you know right now. Giovanni's Pizza, 1009 Little East Neck Road, West Babylon, New York, 11704, 631-669-9507. We are open, says they. Give them a call. So I want to get personal for a second. Not that we don't get personal on the show. Anyway, there is a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation helping children and families with unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances in Long Island. So HopeFloatsLongIsland.org helped me when I was doing an event for children with pediatric cancer. And half the people that were supposed to help us backed out.
Yeah.
We were on this beach.
I get it.
We have all these people coming, and everyone's coming to help us, and the vendors that were supposed to be there didn't show up. Hope Floats Long Island not only touched my heart, but they made the event happen,
Yeah.
and no one else knew. I had a heart attack, but the show went on, and that
Yes,
was
it
like the
did.
greatest thing. So that's www.hopefloatsli.org, and you can email Theresa at hopefloatsli.org.
And we're back.
All right. Then, as someone in recovery, there is these stigmas that exist about what someone in recovery is. That means you're weak, you have this problem. First off, I ran a program in a jail in a county jail for 2 years, and I remember one of the clients, because I call them clients, I don't call them inmates or anything like that because they're people. So one of the clients said, "Well, do you consider yourself an addict and an alcoholic?" I go, "I actually consider myself Ben. Like, I don't walk up to people and introduce myself and say,
Right.
hi, I'm Ben, I'm an addict and
Right.
alcoholic." That's only customary in certain 12-step rooms. First off, I've moved pretty far away from some of these modalities because I move away from fear-based and shame-based treatments.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. I'm not saying it doesn't work for other people. It's just for me it didn't work. Now, when someone has that stigma attached to them and they're going into the court system. So, for example, my client has a child it's not kidnapping. I forgot the legal term they called it, but the mother took the kid away. He hasn't seen his son, so he had a lawyer. The lawyer went to get some sort of emergency pickup, and the mother, rather than allow the pickup, said he sexually abused and physically abused his son. So now the courts have to stop it. This client had a trauma counselor because he had something that happened in that marriage that was painful for him. Since that trauma counselor was part of a group that is also they're child advocates, they had to stop seeing my client. Now, this is based on a lie. This is just because someone's like, no. I'm going to use the system to my benefit. And I learned these words without at all considering the fact that there is a child
Right.
in this
Right.
used as a pawn that is going to grow up thinking either A, this is normal, B, this is acceptable, or C, my father did something to me that he didn't do. Now, in your position, what is that like to you? What does that sound like to you? And have you seen that before?
I have seen that on a number of occasions.
It's so unfortunate.
And
It's so horrible.
It's beyond horrible, and there can be consequences for it.
Wasn't that
Now,
perjury?
It is if it's given in a sworn statement.
right.
I can recall
If it's
one
in the court
instance-
papers, isn't that it?
If it's sworn
If
to
it's
in
in
the
the
court
transcript,
papers,
yeah.
it is. I can recall one instance where that occurred, and after I finished going up one side and down the other of the person that made that statement, I referred it to the district attorney to prosecute
for you.
them
Good for
perjury,
you.
because that impacts the entire family.
Yes, that is all sorts of wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond. There was another situation which I could not refer, but I actually conducted an abuse trial where a young lady had lived with her mother for her first 14 years, and then mom couldn't deal with her anymore, so she sent her to dad. And they had been
Right.
separated, and dad was a laborer, and he worked during the day, and they lived in an area that was a little rough. And dad was trying to impose some discipline because the girl was going out running around at night in bad neighborhoods. And he told her, he said, "You can't do this. You're at risk. You will get hurt." So what ended up happening was he kept trying to, say, "No, you can't go out after 9 o'clock.
Right.
No, you can't go running around in these areas." And I forget exactly what led up to it, but the short story was she called 911 and said, "My daddy just raped me."
Oh, my God.
No.
Dad got locked up, got charged with abuse, and Dad came in with his lawyer and said, "We are ready for a trial, and my client will testify." And guess what? Halfway into the trial, I knew.
You knew.
I knew the girl
You
was
just
lying. She
knew.
made it up. She made it all up. She could have cost this man everything. And
So-
of course, once this went away, the criminal case went away. But
Right.
the point is,
It had to come to
That
that.
was the child that did that.
Yes.
correct.
So,
So you can't, what can you do in that situation?
Right. What do you do? How do you handle the child now that the child did this?
when I was a different
What do
person,
you
Not
do?
much I could do.
Right.
when I was a different person in a different life, I bought my first home. I'm a working man. I don't have a lot of money. I just got into a divorce. I was fortunate to meet my wife. We bought this little home, which to me was like everything. And these kids in the neighborhood were going around shooting paintballs at houses. My neighbor across the street just restarted their house, and they shot it with paintballs. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I go, and I started talking to the neighbors. I go, "What's your problem here? Like, why aren't we doing something about this?" And they were afraid. I am not afraid. So they said, "Well, what are we going to do?" These are just kids. I go, "Oh, I paid to live here. I pay the taxes on this house. I pay the
Right.
mortgage on this house. We're a community. We're a neighborhood. We should do something about this." They're like, "Oh, well, they're just kids." I'm like, "Just kids. I pay 15 grand on my house, and I'm gonna have a problem." And again, I was a little more aggressive than I am now. I ended up getting in trouble, but it was worth it. So, 100%. Listen, I'm not proud of some of the things I did. So what happened was these kids got caught, but unfortunately or fortunately, some of the kids had fathers that worked in a specific career that made it so they wouldn't have charges pressed on them, we should say.
Yeah.
And I back the blue and I support the thin blue line, so I don't want to say anything negative. But I will say they got let off. One kid, however, his father was like a working guy. So his father was like, "Are you out of your mind? Do you know what I would do to you if you..." And he hit his kid. You know what the kid did? He called 911, and the police came and took his father out. When I was a kid, my father was... Well, my
Are you
father...
kidding?
Yeah, well, my old man was a
Right.
licensed steam fitter. I told him, I go, if you... I said, he had plumber's hands. I told him, I go, "If you hit me, I'm going to call the cops and say you're abusing me." He goes, "And I'm going to beat you up until they get
Right.
here.
Exactly.
And when they leave, I'm going to beat you up again." And I just went to my room and shut my mouth.
Exactly.
I'm not suggesting that it's ever right to hit your child.
No.
I understand it. I understand the rage. I understand the frustration. But is this really what we've become? Is this
Right.
what our society is?
And a lot of the times it'll be the not my kid mentality. I love that too. Not my kid.
You know, I think it's hard when you had mentioned about you don't know who did it. We have a friend who eventually is going to come on the show. The story is just unreal that a grown man would hurt a child in such a way.
Ugh.
And, listen, I'm someone that knows what certain abuse is like. I understand that I have a book out and I know what it's like to have, quote unquote, unwanted attention. We'll leave it at that. To put that on someone. I'm not saying, listen, I don't ever want to be in jail and I never want to be that guy again. But I'll just say I understand. I understand that, Justice. There was a very long time in my heart where I wanted that justice. One of my first clients as a recovery specialist, he actually, he pulled off that very same justice on the person that abused him. I get it, man. It's such a difficult role to have and be able to pull yourself back from.
Because it's such a personal violation.
Yes.
It's such a
Well, it appeals to your human nature, doesn't it?
Yeah. It has to. You're human. It has to affect you. Like it's affecting me just hearing it. I can't even imagine being a judge on a bench.
Did you ever have a case that made you cry?
Yes.
I can't. It's just.
You know what? Good for you. I'll tell you right now, the courts need more people
Like
you.
Yes.
Because I've met different judges before, just because of some of the programs I've worked and all that stuff, and this holier than thou attitude.
It just shouldn't be. Shouldn't be.
I mean, hey, so listen,
They have more
You might
paper
you
than
might
you.
stop me on this. I don't know. I might get in trouble now. I might be getting in trouble.
You always get in trouble.
100%.
Go ahead, go for it.
100%. But there, like some judges, like they get in trouble too. Like they have sexual fetishes, and they get
So
Just read the
listen,
newspaper.
I'm not saying anything.
Just read the newspapers. It's
right? Exactly.
Well, that's where it was.
It's on page 6. Like,
But just see, we're circling back. We're
yes,
circling back to where we started. It's all
Yeah.
about being a human being first.
it is.
All right, so we're
We gotta go to commercial.
I went from tears in my eyes to anger to laughing. So I love this show.
Yes.
You're doing a great job. You got to come back. Hold on, we're gonna go to a break, and then we got more, and then we're gonna go to our constructive conclusions. Thanks, folks.
Hey Ben, did you know 65% of people have curly hair, and the biggest problem that holds them back from embracing their curl is?
Frizz.
Yes.
Frizz.
Good job.
I pay attention.
Do. Curl Evolution in Babylon Village is solving that problem as Long Island's top curly salon.
No more frizz.
No more frizz.
Okay.
They specialize in cuts and colors just for curls. But what's different about this salon is that you don't just get a haircut, you have an entire experience.
I like that.
Yeah, a customized lesson of how to style your unique texture, as well as a deep treatment to hydrate curls and reduce frizz.
So I have watched people with curly hair literally destroy their hair because they wanted it to look better,
Yes.
and then it just looked worse.
Right.
So here's a silly question. Why not just go to the people that do it like professionally?
Curl Evolution.
I would go there.
You should.
I will.
233 East Main Street, Babylon Village, New York, 11702, 631-422-4200.
Nice. So, 631 Tire and Wheel at 666 West Hoffman Avenue, Lindenhurst, New York, 11757. That's 631tire.com at 631-412-5165. You ask for Tommy. You tell him Theresa D or Benny the Life Coach sent you. Trust me when I tell you, he will solve all of your tire needs.
Oh, Ben, didn't some guy call you?
He did. This is the guy for the boat, the ATV, and the
Yes.
wave runner and all
the
that
patio furniture. He's like selling everything, right?
stuff. He's looking to get out of Dodge. So he said, hey, he called me and I go, how you doing, buddy? He goes, I listened to what you said. I went to rap-america.com. I found out what to do. I got these wraps with reusable zippers, covers. I covered everything. The guy Tommy was like the nicest guy to deal with,
Of course he is.
and of course, who helped him? He mentioned your name, not mine. And he goes, I'm sure he likes you too. but
I
he
love that, Tommy.
He likes Theresa more than he likes you. Either way, he called 516-830-0040, asked for Tommy, and all of his needs were taken care of.
Hey, Ben, are we getting out of here on time today?
No.
It's
But
your
wait
fault.
a second, it is. I keep messing up on a lot of things, folks. I know you're listening at home, but I mess up. I make mistakes. And you know why? It's because I'm hungry.
Yes.
I'm hungry, so
No, you get hangry.
I do get hangry.
You do.
You get frustrated.
I do. You're right.
You've thrown things at me in the studio.
I have.
Once or twice, maybe 3 times or more. But I have a solution. I think if we eat a good lunch, so if we go to Giovanni's Pizza, by the way, did you bring your dad home the chicken
Farm, yes.
He loves
His
that.
favorite.
I think
Yes.
Gio knows that.
Yeah, Gio knows that.
It's
Makes
a
it
great.
special just for him.
So, guys, I'm letting you know right now. Giovanni's Pizza, 1009 Little East Neck Road, West Babylon, New York, 11704, 631-669-9507. We are open, says they. Give them a call. So I want to get personal for a second. Not that we don't get personal on the show anyway. There is a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation helping children and families with unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances in Long Island. So HopeFloatsLongIsland.org helped me when I was doing a event for children with pediatric cancer, and half the people that were supposed to help us backed out.
Yeah.
And we were on this beach.
I get it.
We have all these people coming, and everyone's coming to help us, and the vendors that were supposed to be there didn't show up. Hope Floats Long Island not only touched my heart, but they made the event happen.
Yeah.
And no one else knew. I had a heart attack, but the show went on, and that
Yes,
was
it
like the
did.
greatest thing. So that's www.hopefloatsli.org, and you can email Theresa at hopefloatsli.org. This is what I want to come back with. First off, if you're listening to this show, if you're listening or you know someone, if something happened, by all means, I want you to come forward.
Yes.
I think
Always.
I think it is the bravest thing for anyone to do, to say, hey, you know what? This happened to me and it's wrong. And unfortunately, the way the culture is now, the way the news is now, the way politics are now, because we have politicians on both right side and left side with
Yes.
complaints against them, and then they're like, well, we're not going to do anything to our guy unless you do something to your guy, is ridiculous. It's idiotic. I'm going to say, if you're listening to me now and you're a child or you're a parent or and you know something happened to you, listen. Call me if you got
There's
it.
no judgment.
You know what?
No.
We have a website, we have an email address, right? And Theresa, what's our email address?
breakingthevow@gmail.com.
Yeah, well, I'm supposed to remember that.
You are supposed to remember
I
that.
froze for a second.
Yeah, okay.
I do that.
You do.
But you know what? Send us an email if you don't feel comfortable. Anything you send, by the way, is confidentiality is always honored. The only time I say this, only time I'm not honoring confidentiality is if someone is at risk or at harm, because I have a duty to warn and report. But if you have something going on in your life,
Reach out.
yeah.
Reach out. We're here.
And the way that system has changed, I mean, I can tell you just from the time I grew up, back through into the 1970s, if you had a woman who was a rape victim, they would turn it around in a prosecution to the point where
When she was asking for it.
Shaming. Yeah.
they put the woman on trial.
Yeah.
And they would say, well, she was wearing go-go
wear-
boots,
right,
or
she was
she was
wearing a
wearing
short
mini
skirt.
skirt or
Yes.
whatever. So she asked for it, and they would investigate into the woman's background, and it was so improper and out of place.
Right. Right. No means no.
And now it's at least it's changed up a little bit.
Yes. Definitely.
The one
I
thing
completely agree with that.
I have had conversations with some of my younger clients, and I always said, I don't blame. The blame game
No.
doesn't work.
No.
But you know what I don't do? I never put myself in a situation or a position where I could later be uncomfortable.
Right.
The problem is, when you're young, attention doesn't come up with the idea of negative, positive. It's just attention.
Right.
And we
Especially now.
Yeah, well, we lose ourselves in that. And we want to be acknowledged. We want to be wanted, desired, thought of, cared for, included, invited, and all of these things. And it's very difficult to navigate through that. And you could say, well, when you're a child, but I'm going to say this, I'm a big child.
You're 7,
Maybe 6.
maybe 6.
You're
Yeah.
giving me a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm housebroken and all that stuff. I miss the paper sometimes, but really the truth is, everyone goes through life. If you are going through something, and I don't want to, I hate shaming anyone,
No.
but there are times the injustice here is to throw an accusation at somebody when it is when it's false and fake, right? Meanwhile, there's a kid who actually had to go through it.
Right.
But because you wanted to be a tough guy and win in court, you created a fake story, and it takes the attention
Right.
away from that child.
Right,
And what
away
else?
from where it should
What else
be.
does it do to that child? What else does it take away from the child that actually had it happen to them?
Right.
Trust.
Trust.
Yes.
And the feeling that, well, now no one will believe me.
No one's going to believe me because this person lied. This person said about it.
Right.
And then, so, listen, you know that feeling of being a victim. I love to tell people in life there really are no victims. Oftentimes they're volunteers. I had to learn to stop volunteering for some of these things.
Yeah.
But that was an amazing amount of growth on my part because that took a lot of strength and a lot of training. Mental fitness is really important. And if you have these blockages, such as an unwanted memory of an unwanted touch or an unwanted punishment, I understand discipline. Discipline is discipline. Punishment. I know people that need to be punished. Usually it's not a kid.
Sometimes you need to leave that to karma.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was just going to say that.
I've seen it work.
Yep.
Yeah, well.
Karma is a bitch.
But it
Yeah.
sometimes takes a long time.
Yes, and that's okay. But karma always comes.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes I just want to see. I'm not saying. Listen, I'm a life coach. I get it.
Yes.
I'm all these things. I'm also a real human being. I would like, they say, Ben, what goes
You
around
want to
comes
drive?
around.
You want to drive the bus?
I'm not necessarily saying I need to drive the bus, but if someone has a picture,
Yes.
I would like to
Okay.
see. I would certainly like to see. All right, as we wind down the show, what we love to do is we love to come to a constructive conclusion at the end of every show. And this one was really emotional.
This was a great show.
I really want to thank you for coming in.
Thank
My
you,
pleasure.
Judge.
Thank you for asking
so
me.
much.
What are your thoughts on this?
As far as
The show and so the idea is we want to help people get through the
Yeah,
divorce
I
and
learned-
and also
Okay.
so they understand this isn't a death sentence.
then maybe I can throw a little something else out there.
Please.
Go ahead.
A lot of people are afraid of the courts. They're intimidated by the courts.
Yes.
They think that they're going to be treated unfairly. That seems to be the perception. But if there are issues other than divorce, having to do with child custody, visitation, etc., domestic violence,
Yep.
anything along those lines, I always say the family court is the place to go. Now, a lot of people, they kind of look down their noses at family court. They
Why?
they think they're really going to get stuck. Right. I served in the family court in Suffolk County for 9 years, and most of that time there was voluntary. It was my choice. I could have been out in Supreme Court trying
Right.
jury cases, nice and clean, go about your business. Instead, I handled child abuse, child neglect, adoptions, terminations of parental rights, domestic violence, guardianships, custody, visitation,
You have seen
permission
it
to marry.
all.
Yeah, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that when you go into family court, usually people, when they go into family court, they are at perhaps the most vulnerable time in their lives.
Absolutely.
They are hurting worse than you
Yes.
can possibly imagine.
I lived it.
I can also tell you that there are an awful lot of good people working
Yes.
there. The attitudes of the people who work there, the court officers, the clerks, the people in the back office,
Yes.
they get it. They understand. They try and make it user-friendly. There are also a lot of good lawyers practicing in the family court, people with the Legal Aid Society, a lot of the private lawyers.
Right.
And what I've learned is they could go do something far more lucrative,
Yes, they could.
but they don't. They focus there and they concentrate there, and they have the expertise to work there and to shepherd people through the system.
Yes.
Is everybody satisfied?
No.
No, rarely. But it's also the nature of when you have two people on different sides, no one's going to get 100%.
It's no one.
You're
no,
either-
never going to be happy.
The best result you get is when you have two sides together they come to an agreement and they both go away not quite happy.
Exactly.
Each one has given something
Yes.
up.
Yes.
But those are the sorts of resolutions that last the longest.
Yes.
And we get a lot of those in family court because the attitude there is remedial.
Yeah.
It's not something like county court where you're dealing with felonies, so it's retribution or it's punishment.
Right.
The idea at family court is that it's remedial. And all I can tell you is, to a person, the people in the family court in Suffolk County, where I had the privilege of working, are beyond outstanding. And they really do care and they really do try. They get upset by these things that come in. I know from my friends there, they've lost sleep over these things too.
Yeah.
I'll say, listen, if we've had different attorneys on the show, and the common theme is if you stop clouding the picture, because the ends to the means is to be divorced. To
Right.
stop
You
it.
have to take the emotion out of it.
Remove the emotion, push that to the side, which is that's what the program is about. But rather than fight about a pen or a wagon wheel coffee table like we talked
Wagon
on
wheel
this-
coffee table and the green suede couch.
the greens, and there was a flat screen TV.
Yeah.
I've seen them fight over the dog. I've seen them
Yeah.
say,
Well, the
say-
dog I understand. Just saying.
But I'm just saying, I've seen them fight over the dog where one spouse has no interest in the dog, but
Just to
knows that
fight.
the other one loves it,
It's
so
just
let's
to fight.
leverage
It's
it.
just a
Right.
fight. You know that. Listen, hell hath no fury like anyone scorn.
Right.
That's
and
true.
that whole idea of going back and forth will only prolong.
Yes.
And this is really the constructive conclusion. Do not prolong misery.
Right.
Prolong your happiness.
Right.
So focus, get clear, create your plan,
Yep, the
make your
only way
decision.
out is through.
Stick to your strategy. Guys, this was such a great show.
This was awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
Judge.
you so
Thank you
much.
very
It's an
much for having
honor to
me.
have
It's
you
been a
here.
Honor, pleasure. See you later, folks.
Take care.